Well, good day to all of you viewers, and welcome to the Wellness on the Go YouTube channel. So, this is a new channel that I've just launched, and it's dedicated to sharing wellness strategies with people who are interested in their health, so health intelligent people. Now, when we speak of wellness, we almost instantaneously think about illness. And wellness is a completely different set of factors as opposed to illness. Now, in a illness process, um, almost all illnesses can go through 6 distinct stages. On the one end, we have stage 1, which is the early stage of an illness, where you have some symptoms, they appear and may disappear on their own. And then if you haven't changed the reason for why that illness is present, it will recur. And it's now moved to stage 2, and so on, until you reach stage 5 and it becomes a distinct disease. And that is where we as medical doctors can diagnose you. Anything prior to that is an unknown, unless, of course, you've studied wellness medicine, which then gives us the tools to understand what is exactly happening in this body, in this physiology, and how to implement interventions that can then reverse the disease process. And so we created this channel so that we can share the wellness strategies with people. So as you all know, we're living in a very uncomfortable time. What has really happened is that two major pandemics have collided with each other. The first pandemic is the pandemic of chronic disease. Huge numbers of people across the planet are living with chronic diseases, living on chronic medication. And along comes a vicious and aggressive virus like the coronavirus, and this pandemic has collided with the pandemic of chronic disease. So we have the COVID pandemic and the chronic disease pandemic colliding with each other, and it's producing devastating effects. Over the last 2 years and a bit, we're now beginning to understand more and more that the state of chronic disease, where your body is out of balance, is not functioning at its optimal level, is a predictor that you may get severe COVID disease to the point of death. And in fact, that is what has been happening with all the crises, hospitalizations, ICU admissions, people needing to be on ventilators and so on. Because this virus hits the respiratory tract first, and before long, it's already spreading to other organs. And so we're living now in a time where the foremost thing in people's mind, they have instinctively understood that if you're not well, you're at very high risk for what this virus is going to do. And so we're addressing these issues around wellness. How do you actually become well? How do you sustain the state of wellness? And wellness can be defined by a set of factors that will tell us that you're well. And that's not necessarily blood tests or scans, etc. The physiology of wellness is a set of experiences that you and I have every day that will tell us that you are healthy. For example, if your skin has a luster or a glow and your eyes have a glow, that's a distinct sign that you are well. Sick people lose that luster very quickly. The ability to have a regular bowel movement at least once a day is another sign that you are well. Maintaining your weight at a constant level is another sign that you are well. A distinct appetite, where you physically feel hungry, is another sign that you are well. And the ability to defend against flus and common infections. It's another sign that your immunity is well. And now it sounds very simplistic, but it is very profound, because there are 7 distinct skills that are now known that contribute to your wellness. Each one is something that you've got to be doing. Now, I'm going to take just one of them to give us a sense of how this wellness strategy can work for you. And that cornerstone wellness concept is adequate nutrition, or competent nutrition. Now, nutrition would be the kind of nutrients, the spectrum of nutrients that you would get from the food that you eat. And so if your food is healthy, your food is nutrient dense, and if your food is whole, hasn't been altered in any way, it's very likely that you will be able to extract all the critical nutrients from a decent diet, and your body will then thrive. So every cell in your body is dependent on nutrition. Health is not dependent on drugs. That's just maintaining your symptoms, keeping your symptoms under control. But to have robust wellness, vitality, and good health, it's a function of the nutrition you're getting. In today's world, with so many foods being altered, food processing strategies that tend to give us more and more preserved foods, we lose the benefit of quality of nutrition. In other words, the food is not nutrient dense enough to provide that to you. And so we turn to perhaps eating organic foods, but that of course becomes expensive because of the demand for how organic foods have to be grown. But suffice it to say that if you are eating whole foods, you have a better chance of getting some of your nutrition. And so, in the kind of world that you and I are living in now, supplementation is almost obligatory. It's almost unlikely that you're going to have great health, robust health, and vitality if you're not supplementing the critical nutrients. And these nutrients cover a very wide spectrum. In one of our next sessions, we will go into that in a lot more detail. But let's take a very simple strategy, a wellness strategy that you can understand, and that is introducing supplementation into your health routine. But now when you go to your resource, your pharmacy, your supermarket, or wherever you're getting your nutrient from, you're presented with an array of vitamins, minerals, trace elements, omegas, and so on. But that is a really, really murky world, because more than 95% of what you have there on the shelves are chemically synthesized. Vitamins are chemically synthesized, and you're even getting told you're getting the full spectrum from A to Z and so on. But the truth is that the bioavailability, in other words, does that nutrient actually reach your blood, and is it able to be transported to your cells? And the answer is that synthetically made nutrients, they have a very low bioavailability. You'd be really, really great if you got more than 3% absorbed into your blood. Most of that kind of nutrition is in your stool within a few hours of you consuming it. And so you take these so-called vitamins and minerals and supplements and so on, and you don't really feel a change, but you're taking it because there's this idea that you need to take the supplement. That idea is probably correct, but the quality of what you're taking is a huge issue. Now you have whole food organic supplements. These are made as close as possible to how nutrients appear in nature. They bound to different fibers, they bound to carrier molecules, and so on. And so, for example, if you eat an orange, the orange has carrier molecules that carries the vitamin C. It's not the same as the ascorbic acid that you're going to get in a tablet form. So there are some companies that have invested in producing these organic whole food state natural supplements, and they deliver a bioavailability of 97% plus. Now this is huge because the moment you put the right bioavailable nutrient into your body, your entire cellular structure starts to come alive. And this is a huge benefit to your body, so that it now starts to repair and revive, and all its functionality gets restored toward wellness, vitality, and overall health. And it can be very quick, sometimes within 2-3 days, just by introducing the right kind of nutritional supplementation. This will start to happen. Now, here's another strategy that you may not have known about. Your body needs 22 amino acids in one meal in order to effect repairing in the body. Most times you don't get all 22 in one meal. You may get 8 in one meal, maybe 7 in another one, and so on, but never all 22 in one meal. Now, there are companies that have research groupings within their structure, and the market leader is a 60-year-old company that has identified this concept that you need 22 amino acids for that repairing process. And they've structured a protein powder that delivers exactly that. And it is absolutely amazing to see how people who have been chronically ill for years and years, once they're on this kind of nutrition, they begin to literally change their health. Now, this is a wellness strategy, just knowing that you need to get the right kind of nutrient. In other words, you want organic, whole food, natural. You don't want the synthetic things that says it's got 1,000 milligrams of that, and etc. If it doesn't say it is natural, whole food, organic, then don't buy it, because that's the one that's going to be a waste of your time and your health. So that strategy is quite important. Second is just the simple strategy of knowing that you need 22 amino acids in one meal, just once a day, and the health revolution starts. Your cells begin to come alive. They begin to engage in a repair process, because your body is designed, it knows what to do, provided you give it the right nutrients. Now, here's another concept that I'll share with you today, but we will maybe go through it on another occasion, and that is that the cell membrane of a cell is a living entity. It actively transports nutrients across the cell membrane. But one of the critical nutrients that is needed to do that is a substance called an essential fatty acid. Now, where do essential fatty acids appear? They appear in whole grain, organic whole grain. So if you take a natural whole grain, it's got an outer husk. Within it, it's got the endosperm, which is the carbohydrate part. And then there's a little vacuole of an oil sitting in the corner. Now, what do food manufacturers do? They split the husk, and then they sell it back to you as bran. And they're interested in the carbohydrate, the endosperm, and that is the bit that is going to make the carbohydrate-rich things like wheat and so on. And they throw away that little bit of oil, because if it's left there, it'll start to make the entire wheat or the carbohydrate fraction begin to go fermented or decayed, let's put it that way. And so in its whole form, the husk, the endosperm, and that essential fatty acid. They are all critical features in how a cell structures itself. And so this discovery made about 60 odd years ago was that the essential fatty acid provided the critical ingredient in the cell membrane. And within days, the cell is starting to access nutrition to about 42% more than before. Metabolic waste is also being excreted a lot faster across that cell membrane. Now you just extrapolate that into over 100 trillion cells in your body, and you can see the amazing effect that an essential fatty acid will have in doing that. Now, would you believe it that essential fatty acids don't appear anywhere in your food chain? Unless you're eating organic whole foods, and very few people have access to that today because of the way food is delivered, then you can now see why chronic disease is perpetuating, because the cell can't repair itself. It can't get access to the nutrients. It can't excrete the metabolic waste that it needs to do. But you put in this one nutrient. By the way, this nutrient is called treanin. It's a grain oil with multiple grain oils. And it literally starts to change the way your body starts to repair. Now, this strategy of just knowing that you need to put into place a essential fatty acid, you need the right spectrum of nutrients. Perhaps in our next Wellness on the Go video, we're going to talk more about the nutrition, which are the critical nutrients that your body will need to have for you to actually experience this degree of wellness. Now, it doesn't matter if you already have chronic disease. It doesn't mean you cannot improve it. Very much so, if you put the right nutrients in, your body knows what to do. It will begin to reverse much of what you thought was the disease. And so this approach is going to be life-saving for many of us in this time of the COVID pandemic, because the only strategy you have available in your hand is the strategy of knowing how to structure proper and sustainable wellness. That's your defense against what this virus can do to you. And so we will share this in the coming months and weeks. And I do hope you will subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share it with anyone who is interested in their state of wellness. And hopefully we can ongoingly share more and more strategies for you to be able to get the best insight. There's some amazing information that I've been able to gather over 42 years of clinical practice. And we're consistently applying this to our patients, giving them that awesome sense of wellness and health and recovery from what they thought was a chronic disease that you have to live out to the end of your life. And so I hope that I've given you some insight into at least some strategies, but we'll be sharing tons of these strategies as we go along. And please do subscribe and make it your duty to share it with others. I think sharing information like this is going to be very important for more and more people, for them to get their health right. Well, that's all for this week. We'll certainly see you in the coming weeks. I'm hoping that maybe every 2 weeks we'll be posting a new video, but we will, if you click on the notification, we will be sending you that as well. Great. Take it easy. Stay safe.